It usually feels like the only way to get really rich is through starting a business. I mean, look at all the world's richest men. They are all masters at running businesses. But not everyone is cut out for starting a business, isn't it? Does that mean that everyone who is not interested in starting a business, or those who don't feel gifted in starting businesses, can never become really rich? Of course not. Well, in today's video, I'm going to be sharing with you how you can become really rich without starting a business. So stick around right through to the end because all the tips are great ones. Now, the first thing we'll need to do is define being rich. Now, a lot of people actually have misconceptions about the definition of being rich. Most people actually consider being rich as having a lot of money, and number two, having a lot of material possessions. But in all reality, that's not the absolute definition of being rich. Being rich mainly entails two things. Number one, having financial freedom. And number two, doing the things you want, whenever you want, from wherever you want. You see, that's what entails financial freedom. Now, everyone will have a different definition of what they call financial freedom. For one person, financial freedom will be $1 million. For another person, financial freedom is just $100,000. They have $100,000, their life is sorted. You see, why? Because in the end, it's all about being able to afford the kinds of things you want, not being able to afford the kinds of things you need. If you can only afford the kinds of things you need, then you're still struggling financially. But then, if you can afford the things you want, then ideally you're financially free. Now, the things you want is actually what determines how much money you need. If, for example, for one person, they just want a simple car, they want to live in a simple house, maybe in the cabin, somewhere in the woods, and all they need is to own a small piece of land, maybe somewhere in the woods, and feed on crops in the wilderness, then for them maybe a little bit of money might be okay for them, because for them that's all they want and they are happy about it. They're not seeking to get, a Lamborghini and please everyone around. They're just seeking a simple life, a life isolated from people, just feeding on herbs, feeding on, nature and enjoying themselves. So in the end, it's all about living the kind of life you want. That's what the definition of richness is. For a lot of people, you'll find that they define wealth as health, because probably they have experienced a time when they were in really terrible health before, and so they attach too much value to health. And for them, for as long as they are strong, their bodies are not sick, they feel wealthy. So let's dive right into the 7 things that you can do that can make you really rich without starting a business. First is become a specialist with a high-paying job. Now, in order for you to do that, you need to make sure that you have a skill set which is in very high demand but in limited supply. Now, unfortunately, these are skills that require quite an amount of time in training. Now, the advantage with them is that they have a very high certainty of making you rich. But unlike businesses, they won't take a short time. The thing with the business is that maybe 1 year or 2 years, you can get really rich. You can make a lot of money, 200, 300% in terms of profit in a really short time. Unlike taking the route of the skill set, you're going to probably spend a number of years, sometimes even up to 10, 15 years, simply doing training. But the advantage with them is that you have almost an absolute certainty of actually making a lot of money. The thing with business is that they have a very high likelihood of failure. Very, very high likelihood of failure. But then if you succeed, then you will have hit it big. So what are some of the things you can do? You need to be a specialist at some of these things, like, for example, be a doctor, a specialist medical doctor, maybe a neurosurgeon, be an orthopedic surgeon, be a plastic surgeon, be a dentist, be an IT specialist. So these are some of those things where, first of all, the competition is quite high. Second of all, you need to have, what I would consider a particular level of intelligence for you to study some of these things, because you're going to be doing very competitive exams at some of the very best universities to get to this level of skill. But also there are some of the skills that don't require too many years in training, but the competition is too much right at the top. For example, creative arts, for example, being a movie director, things like that. It's a really high-paying job. You're probably going to be working at Hollywood, one of the very best movie industries in the world. But for you to get to the top, you're going to have to compete against the very, very best. So the competition is quite difficult here. But in in all reality, I've seen a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of testimonials from people like plastic surgeons. I mean, these guys make crazy amounts of money, a lot of money. So if you're dedicated and ready to move that direction, then certainly you can become wealthy without starting a business. Number 2 is join a fast-growing company. You've heard the saying that if you can't beat them, join them. Well, this is what you're going to be doing right here. You're not going to be starting your own company, but you're going to join a company. So what you're going to be doing right here is identify an industry where there's a lot of influence, some of the top and most influential industries, entertainment, IT, the very top and the ones that are trending at the very moment. Identify them. Then you're going to have to study them. You're going to study all the new developments in the industry. You're going to study the outliers, the disruptors in the industry. Usually in every industry there's disruptors. For example, when it came to media, I think over the past few years, I think it was like TikTok. There was social media, Facebook and all these kinds of things, YouTube. And then just like that, TikTok comes and it's overtaking and everyone is watching it. So if someone had jumped, for example, onto the bandwagon of TikTok, let's imagine it was a company that was taking up employees, and you had identified it and jumped into it early enough, then you would be one of the very top earners, despite the fact that it is something new, but it has exploded and grown too quickly, and now it's bringing a lot of revenue, and certainly you can make a lot of money from it. So you need to make sure that you study a lot of forecasts, study a lot of trends. The thing with forecasts and trends though is that most of them never come to pass. It's very difficult to predict things that are going to come in the future, and a lot of times what you expect to be the one that's going to happen usually never ends up happening. But if you pay too much attention to the industries, then you can identify what could be coming up, and once you do, then you make sure that you train yourself on the skills that are required by these fast growing industries. Train yourself on a lot of these skills to ensure that you're hireable by them, or to ensure that your skills are relevant and they will be picked up and taken up when these companies become relevant in the very near future. Number 3 is get a management job at a top company. Now, this is another crazy one that can make you really rich. I mean, look at the very top CEOs. For example, the CEO of Apple, the CEO of Google, or Facebook, or a lot of these other companies. These people earn really, really huge bucks. So managing people is quite complicated, really, really complicated. And remember that if you're going to be managing at the very top level, you're managing really bright people, really complicated people. So for you to be able to manage these people, you're going to have to literally be better than them. You're going to have to become really, really good. Now, what you need to understand is that getting to this level is very, very difficult. I mean, it's very competitive, very, very difficult. And for you to be able to get to this point, sometimes it will take years. It takes a lot of time. I mean, the very top CEOs, a lot of them have been in the industry for 30, 40 years, sometimes even more than that. So it will take you quite an amount of time to get there. So what do you do in order to cut the shortcut? One of them is simply join a fast-growing company. So don't look to join the companies that have already been established, because these are going to become really difficult for you to climb up the ladder. I mean, everyone is competing inside these companies to get to the very top. So it might become quite difficult for you. So what do? You identify the companies that are growing really fast. They appear to still be small, but they're growing really fast, and you join these and then aim for the managerial jobs. Now, again, it will take you quite some time, even in these companies, but you need to make sure that you develop the skills to get to the top. For a lot of these companies and for a lot of, this kind of work, beyond a particular level of management, there's a lot of politics involved. I mean, you don't just get to the top based on your qualifications. No, you need to play politics, sometimes a lot of, nasty politics, yeah? Simply the politics of management. You have to be very, very good at diplomatic management of people and handling people. So you need to make sure that you develop these skills, understand how to deal with people diplomatically, understand the politics of management, the politics of dealing with, other leaders in other companies. Once you master this then ensures that you can climb to the very top. But again, don't forget that this can be really difficult and take quite some time, but well, it can earn you way more money than even the very best business owners. Number 4 is save a lot of money and invest very smartly. Now, investing is actually an art. I mean, it's not something that's just done. It's not like you just get money and put it in an investment account and you just have everything sorted. No, you can actually lose money through investment. You can invest in stocks and the value just disappears. You can invest, for example, in Bitcoin and the value comes down. You can invest in a lot of things and you just lose your money. So it's literally an art which can be quite complicated and you need to study a lot of things. So the first thing is save quite an amount of money. Make sure that you have quite an amount amount of money. But secondly, invest in the right, parts. Some of the very best investments you can ever do is retirement accounts. I mean, depending on the country you're in, there are very many different types of retirement investments that can be done. And it's really crazy, but these are some of the very best investment vehicles. Now, I know that some people have hesitancy towards such investments because they imagine, what if I die? But well, if you die, then you are going to die. You are going to die. There's nothing else you can do about it. But how do you know that you're going to die? You can't. So how about you just save for your retirement? I mean, who doesn't want to be a millionaire and a billionaire in their retirement? You might say, well, I want to enjoy the best of my years right now, but don't forget that by the time you get to 60, whatever the retirement age is in your country, you'll probably only lived 2/3 of your life. You still have a whole third of your life to live. Maybe you've not lived 2/3 of your life rich, but how about you live 1/3 of your life really wealthy without stress? In case you get ill, you can go and get treated. Of course, it's better that you live literally at least a half or the whole of your life really rich, but 1/3 of your life is better than nothing. So retirement accounts and investments are usually the craziest investments. I mean, some of these things can earn you upward of 10% of compound interest. You know what compound interest is? Compound interest is like magic. This is interest on interest. Every year they give you interest, and the next year they will give you interest on that interest. That's really crazy. There's nothing better than that. It's literally multiplication. So for the people who are not saving and investing in their retirement, I mean, they're just missing out on an opportunity. It's a great opportunity for you to become rich. A very, very good opportunity. And I always advise people, I mean, just maximize this out. Put as much money as you can into them, as much as you can put there without starving your current living. Put it over there. By the time you're 60, by the time you're 55, 60, 65, you're retiring, you're going to have crazy amounts of money. Who doesn't want to have $5 million to live on when they are 60? Everyone does. So just maximize them. Point number 5 is get really famous and capitalize on your fame. It's really crazy, but usually the more famous you are, the more money you can make. You need to make sure that you capitalize on fame. If you can get fame, in the past, it was about the big media companies that could have been able to place people on media and develop this fame. But currently, social media has made it really, really easy for people to get famous. Quite easy. And if you can get an audience, if you can get people who adore you, if you can get people who just worship you for being who you are, then you can make use of that audience to become rich. So look at people like movie stars, athletes, reality TV stars, YouTubers, Instagram influencers, writers. All these people, a lot of them are utilizing their fame to become rich. How do you utilize your fame to become rich? Number one, you can simply just do a meet and greet and get people to pay for it, and people will come and pay simply to be there, and that's money that you're taking. You can do sponsorship deals with very many different companies because you're advertising to your audience. You can sell products, I mean direct products branded with your name. I mean, look at some of the reality shows, the people like the Kim Kardashians. You can make your own products. It doesn't matter what field or what industry it's in. Make your own products, sell them, and people are going to go crazy over them, buying them because you are who you are. Now, the disadvantage is that it's quite a competitive field. Very, very, very competitive. I mean, for you to make it to the top over there, it's difficult. And usually, a few people take the lion's share of the money. If you can actually become famous, then why not take advantage of your fame to actually make money out of it? So it needs a lot of dedication, it needs a lot of commitment, you need to be present, and you need to accept the fact that a lot of people are going to be interested in your life depending on what kind of life you've decided to reveal to them. But it's a good one to make you rich without you starting a business. Number 6 is through real estate. Everyone needs a home. Everyone needs a place to live. And this is an industry where margins can be really, really huge. I mean, someone can make crazy amounts of money simply from selling one home. Yeah. So if you want to get rich and you think you have the ability and the know-hows and the willingness to work through and hustle, then this could be a very, very great field, one that I advise a lot of people to go through. So what are some of the ways that you can make money through real estate? Number one, if you have some money that you've saved, then you can buy a home yourself, probably buy an old home, renovate it, and then you can either sell it or rent it out. You'll be getting money. You know, if you can manage to sell it, you get a huge chunk of money right at the beginning, and then reinvest that money, or maybe together with the profit, in another home or 2 other homes, and just like that, you're growing your influence in the industry. Or like we said, you can rent it out and then you'll be getting monthly income into your account. But if you don't have money, then you can just decide to become an agent. Yeah, you can become an agent where you just connect different people, the buyer and the seller, and you just make your cut off the money. Like I've said, you can get crazy amounts of money from some of these deals. People make $100,000, over $100,000 off a deal of a house. So this is something that you can consider. It can be really, really lucrative. And also, you might not be a dealer, you know, you might not be an agent, but you can just decide to work with a real estate company. Just due to the fact that they are making really huge deals, a lot of the positions inside the companies will actually earn you quite an amount of money. So it's certainly one for you to consider. The number 7 is join the financial industry. Now, people in the financial industry deal with huge sums of money, and if you're dealing with huge sums of money, usually you're going to be paid a lot of money inside there. So what are some of the things you can do? You can become a fund manager, an investment banker, or maybe start or join a wealth management firm. I mean, these deal with really huge amounts of money, and their clients have huge amounts of money. Now, the whole idea here is you're going to be paid to ensure that you're investing properly for other people. Now, investing and making sure that you're making money from other people's investments is actually quite stressful. It's difficult. It's not something very easy because you're not handling your own money. I mean, someone is giving you $2 million and they're telling you to invest it for them. You better make sure that it brings back the money. Otherwise, you're going to be losing someone's money, and that's certainly something that's not desirable. So it involves a lot of stress. I mean, a lot of hard work, a lot of staying up, a lot of studying and understanding the market, a lot of following trends, and you need to make sure that you're really good at this. But also, it's very, very competitive, very, very competitive. So it requires the very best of the very best. So if you're going to be joining it, then you need to make sure that you're really the best and you understand what you're doing. But if you're in the industry, I mean, people are paying huge bucks for this to happen, and so you're going to end up earning quite an amount of money without you starting a business. And now, to get rich and become really wealthy, the income streams are not enough. I mean, you could be able to make the money, or you could be able to identify the right vehicle to make money, but there are particular habits, there are money rules that rich people actually understand and follow that the poor people don't. I mean, if you understand these money rules, you'll certainly have your life completely changed, and you have a very high likelihood, in fact, you'll almost certainly become rich if you understand these rules. I made a video about them. You can check them out right here so that you don't miss out on this. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. Catch you very soon with another video. Lots of love. Bye-bye.